Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Feed podcast. And it's been quite a while since we have sat together to discuss cricket and other things. So, before we dive in, Yash, how was your past several days been?
Yeah, first of all, hello to everybody. It's been a nice week. The term is coming to an end, and the date of my travel to my parents and my family is coming closer. So I'm looking forward to it. But I'm also looking forward to the IPL auction that's happening this week, as you can see from the background. So yeah, very excited for the next few days.
Yeah, we're going to be available in person for quite a while,
Yeah.
starting next week. So, get ready for the December game show to be recorded in person. But that's still quite a while away. What is not too far away from us is the IPL auction, which is on Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll be uploading this episode before that.
Yeah.
So, yet again, it's a mini auction, unlike last year's mega auction, but still, I feel that the hype is there, simply because of the amount of talent that is available in this auction. And we'll be going through all the teams briefly, but focus on a few teams that have big boots to fill and have a
Yeah.
lot of money at their disposal. But before we begin with all of that, do you think that this kind of a format for auctions is ideal? We have talked about getting this down to just mini auctions and the transfer window. So now that we have seen transfer windows being the teams being quite active there, do you think that along with that you still need mini auctions and mega auctions, or one of those three needs to be cut down?
Yeah, I believe that we don't need mega auctions anymore because I did understand in 2022 when there were two new teams coming in that you needed a mega auction. But since then, I think the system that they should adopt is, as you said, have a transfer window and they should have an auction only for the players that are new to the IPL. So all of the new international and uncapped players that always, there are a lot of them every year. So you can have a mini auction just for those players. But the fun of having a trade window is something different because you can then sign a player for X number of seasons and then you can technically have a release clause and that's a bit more exciting just like football and even other sports. So that deadline day, as they call it in football, is always the most exciting time for fans because their team might be able to swoop someone from the other side and make themselves strong. So we saw something similar this time as well in the IPL cycle with MI coming out of nowhere and
Hmm.
taking in Shardul Thakur, Mayank Markande, and Rutherford, which I think that's completely changed the strength of this side. So these things are really exciting. So I hope. I mean, as of now, they are still going to have a mega auction in 2028, I think. But
Hmm.
I hope after that they at least start extending the windows. If they make it a 5 or 6 year window, then it's still understandable. But if it's happening every 3 seasons, then it just doesn't. There's no continuity for teams, so there won't be a brand or a legacy that will be built.
Yeah, I think that is very important for a league like IPL,
Yeah.
who's trying to stamp its authority in world sport. You need to give the chance for teams to create a legacy, and that is how your league will also be remembered because of its franchises. No one remembers the league itself. It's the franchises that make it popular. So I would like to see them think about this because in the long term, you need franchises to be able to create superstars in their own backyard and then be able to have them deliver for them for a long time, which is not happening currently. because of this.
Yeah.
But for the time being, this is what it is. So it's our duty to talk about it. So before we move on, let's have a look at the purses of each of the teams. I think the biggest purse, of course, is with Kolkata Knight Riders, and they have about 64 crores available, and they have to fill 13 slots. So basically, it's almost a clean slate for them because of how badly they did in the last auction. So they have a lot of money, and so do the Chennai Super Kings. They have got about 43 crores and 9 slots to fill. And the third biggest purse is with the Sunrisers Hyderabad, which we, in our preview, if you have listened to it, we did discuss that it's quite good what SRH have managed to pull off because they have retained almost entirely their core and they still have got 25.5 crores left
Yeah.
and 10 slots to fill. So I think they did pretty well in the retentions because I think they just released Mohammad Shami, who was a bit pricey, and that's pretty much what they did. They've got every other of their big signing and they have got 25.5 crores. So that will be interesting to see. And of course, the other teams do have money, but that's not worth discussing. A few minor updates to their squads is what the other teams would look to do. So this is the main talking point. These three teams for me, KKR, CSK, and SRH. So do you have any other talking points other than these three?
Yeah, these three are obviously going to be the most active teams. But if you told this to me last year that KKR and CSK would have the most purse, I wouldn't have believed you because historically that's always been Punjab and RCB. But ironically, Punjab this time have the least amount of slots to fill, only four. So that's again down to the brilliance that Shreyas Iyer and Ricky Ponting did. And even RCB have a very settled squad. They do have 8 slots to fill, but again, all of their core playing 11 players are still with them, and this is just going to be backups. The one team that I wanted to mention though is Gujarat Titans because they are in a mess in terms of the combination that they have. As we discussed in our preview or in our retentions episodes, Gujarat Titans they seem to have a lot of holes that they still need to fill because they are extremely top batters dependent, so they don't have a strong or a proven middle order batter. That so they need to look for that. Their fast bowling last year didn't do the best, so they need a gun fast bowler to help maybe Siraj and maybe Rabada. Plus, they are over dependent on Rashid Khan in the spin, so they probably need a good backup foreign spinner as well in case Rashid Khan is not fit. And if you look at the amount of money they have, it's only 12.9 crores, and they have only 5 slots to fill. So it's not like they're going to fight for all these big players. So for Gujarat, it's going to be very interesting to see who they pick because historically they have done good business, but this time I feel they are in a bit of a mess because there are a lot of things to fix, but they don't have enough money. So that's one team that I want to keep my eyes on.
Yeah, and it's interesting that out of the 5 slots that they have available, they also have 4 overseas spots to fill.
Yeah,
And you generally don't want to go in without having your full array of overseas spots filled.
yeah,
Because we saw with Rajasthan Royals last year, they literally didn't have anyone to
yeah,
replace their overseas. So that is something they would look to do. And one thing I would like to add about Gujarat Titans is I was doing a bit of research about the domestic talent available, and I saw that from all the major performers in the Mustaq Ali Trophy that already have an IPL contract, most of them are in Gujarat Titans, which is quite incredible. If you start from Mahipal Lomror, who's doing well, Kumar Kushagra, Gurnur Brar, Harnoor, uh, Manav Sutar. Sai Kishore. So there's a lot of domestic talent that they have. So that surprised me because I didn't really realize it at the time that they had such rich domestic stocks. But now that they're performing, it seems they did do a good job.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
let's start talking with about the most awaited team, which is KKR. As you mentioned, they have 64.3 crores, and the IPL purse for the entire team is 125 crores. So they have more than half of the purse to utilize, and they need 13 players, or that's the amount of slots available. I think the minimum is 18, so um, they'll basically need, I think, six more to qualify for the IPL, and they have six overseas slots left, so it's quite a lot. But
yeah,
to be very honest with you, KKR still have a pretty good team on paper, like we mentioned in our retentions episode, because they do have Rahane and Naren, who can potentially be their opening combination. They do have most of their bowling or the spin pretty much set with Naren and Chakravarti. They have Angakrish, who's an upcoming middle order batter. They have Rinku Singh and I think Ramandeep Singh as well, who can be finishers. And they have Harshit Rana and Vaibhav Arora. So most of that team is pretty much there. They just need to fill a few holes, and for that they have a lot of monies. So who are the players that they need to go for in terms of the skill set?
yeah. So the biggest change for them is obviously Andre Russell, who will not be a part of the team. So I don't know if they would like to replace him with a like for like replacement, or do they plan on changing their philosophy and not having kind of a Russell-like player in the middle? Maybe they can target someone with different attributes, but that is, of course, one slot that they have to fill. And I think you did mention Rahane and Naren to open, but I think both of them, when they are having a poor season, they have a really poor season. So it's always advisable to have at least two backups for both of them because you never know. Uh, and a wicket keeper, I think we did talk about them releasing both Gurbaz and QDK when last year the fact that they had both of them meant that neither of them got enough game time and they went on to the other extreme and removed both of them. So of course they do need a wicket keeper there. And I think what I would like to see is them giving defined roles to their batters. That is something they didn't do last year. You had batting till nine. They just went with an overkill approach and ended up, I think, having Rinku Singh come at eight, Ramandeep at nine, and it wasn't really ideal. So I would like to see someone like an Angakrish Raghuvanshi having a defined role at the top, and Rinku, Ramandeep, and the players that are already a part of his squad. I want them to be the core members of the team and structure the rest of the side around them and not look for people to build your side around in the auction. That is one thing. And I can kind of trust Abhishek Nair to
Yeah.
do that as well. So that is what I would look for them. And they've got enough money to fiddle around, but they should prioritize the people that are already a part of the team.
You did mention that the batting order was haywire. Guess who coached them only 2 seasons back? You can see signs of Gigi being around.
The big
But
name lurking in the background.
I think another skill set that they need to fill is a good overseas pacer to complement Vaibhav Arora and Harshit Rana. Because I think in 2024, the key to their success was Mitch Stark. Not because he performed consistently, but he was just around the other fast bowlers, so they could learn from him. And obviously, in the most high pressure moments, Stark delivered. So you need someone like that, of his pedigree. they released both Norkia and Spencer Johnson, who was with them last year, but so they'll need to fill those slots. I think they have Dushmanta Chamira, but he's more of a backup. He won't be a frontline bowler along with the other two. They have 6 foreign slots. Who do you think they should go for? I think one overseas pacer is pretty much confirmed, maybe two, and one wicket keeper
Mm.
might be a foreigner, maybe someone like a Bairstow or Jamie Smith. But apart from that, do they go all in for Cam Green, or as you said, do they go for someone else?
Yeah, I think to be very honest, Cam Green can be a potential pick, not just because of the purse, but because he fits into their current batting pretty well. Because you've got two decent finishers in Rinku Singh and Ramandeep. So you don't want another player just like them and again mess up your batting order and have no clarity amongst the three. So instead of going for someone like Russell, I think they can spend money and have someone like Green who can also bowl. And I recently read that is very open to bowling in the IPL, even though he's listed as a batter in the auction. So I think Green can be an option. And talking about Pacers, for the conditions, I would genuinely like to see them target Jaden Seals because he's really good. He's got the height and he's very accurate. And he has been on the rise for quite a while. So I would like to see them target him. And Matt Henry is also a very underrated choice. Most of the times, teams tend to think that he's a test bowler, but those days are gone, and he has developed really well into a limited overs bowler as well. And I think talking about other options from New Zealand, I also like the look of Zach Folks, Zachary Folks. He's a very good underrated bowler, but it's too much into the nuances. But they do need a very good, reputed, and most importantly, a very consistent overseas pacer just to replicate what Stark did, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that they will go for Cam Green because, as you said, they need a number three batter, and I think all the more because of this, they should keep Rahane as an opener and not bring out number three because you can have someone else who can be more explosive along with Rahane, but you want to get rid of Rahane at the top, expose him as much as possible to the power play so that he can get all his runs, and then you start with your hard hitters. I think one player that they can also look at is Liam Livingston, especially at Eden Gardens. He can bowl that leg spin, and he's in pretty good form as soon as RCB released him. So he could be one good pick. And I also think they might look at Daryl Mitchell because he could potentially also be that Russell-esque player who bats a bit higher up, and he still has, I think, a bit of unfinished business in the IPL because he didn't have the best seasons at CSK, so he might also be a pretty good pick for them.
Yeah, and I think talking about the wicket keepers, if they want to continue with their strategy of having an opening keeper or keeper who opens, they can target maybe someone like Ben Duckett if they want an overseas player. And if they are looking for someone in the middle order, Jamie Smith is the one.
Yeah,
So the advantage of having such a big purse is that you can pick and choose and leave the leftovers for the rest. So
yeah,
you get to control your squad, which hopefully they manage to do because I've also seen teams with a big purse fumble badly and end up with just a muddled thinking, a think tank who doesn't know who to go for. So they end up going for everyone and end up getting nobody that they actually wanted or needed. So they have to, they have a lot of money, but they also have to play it smartly in the auction.
yeah. And I think you can trust KKR to do a good job because they have Abhishek Nair, Tim Southey, Owen Morgan, now Andrew Russell as well, and obviously
And Shane
Venki Mysore.
Watson.
Shane Watson as well, I guess. So that's a very smart think tank who's done well
Mm.
for
Yeah, and
different
who's kind
teams.
of connected to the ground reality of T20
Yeah.
cricket in the recent past.
So I trust KKR to do a good job, and it would be nice to see them back fighting at the top because they deserve it. Uh, any more thoughts about KKR? Uh, who do you think will be their biggest buy? Let's go for a wild prediction here.
So I, I definitely feel Cam Green, the amount of hype he's been getting, can go big, but I actually feel the conditions will actually suit someone who can also roll their arm over in terms of spin. So I won't be surprised if they go big on someone like Rachin Ravindra at the top or uh, Liam Livingston, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
because having a spinner who can bowl, a, a batter who can spin is a very good feature to have if you're playing at the Eden Gardens, considering how the pitch has been in the past. So my bet would be on Cam Green just because the hype, and I've seen teams tend to go with the hype. But I won't be surprised if it's not him and they actually don't even look to get him and instead target the other players.
Yeah. Just one last question before we wrap up with KKR. Do you think they will even raise their paddle once for Venkatesh Iyer?
Yeah, that's a very tough one because obviously he was way overpriced, but the way they showed faith in him in the auction last year, I actually felt that he was in their plans for a long time, and maybe they were just getting him under the wings of Rahane to for him to learn the art of captaincy and then take over. But I think it's too much of a salary for them to sustain. So I have a feeling they won't go for him because of the fact that he didn't have a good season either. But it definitely wasn't what they had planned last year. I feel they had planned a very big thing with him, and the purse being very high and his performance being very low, those two being at the extremes is what is leading to them potentially not bidding for him this year.
Yeah, so I'll give my prediction now. I think they might go a bit out of the box and might go with Jake Fraser McGurk as an opener
Hmm.
because he's explosive when he's going, and I think with Shane Watson in there, he might want to work with Jake Fraser McGurk, and him alongside Naren or Rahane would be Phil Salt and Sunil Naren brought back, or even Chris Lynn and Sunil Naren brought back. So they might want to look at him.
Yeah, that also makes sense in the way that the rest of the batting is pretty solid and
Yeah,
well structured, so they can afford to have a kind of a blind slogging opening pair
yeah,
because if they come good, they can just kill the game.
exactly. And I think he's a wicket keeper as well, so he takes that slot for them. Anyways, let's go to the next team, which is someone who finished at the bottom of the table last time. Sorry. We are going to talk about CSK or Chennai Super Kings.
Uh,
They have about 40 crores, 43.4 to be precise. And even this team, similar to KKR, they don't have a lot to correct because they did a great job last time when they got their list of uncapped trades, almost or transfers, where they got Brevis, Ayush Mhatre, Urvil Patel. So these three are going to be their future stars as of now. So they did that in the last season, but they do have a bit more holes, I think, in terms of uh, a few key players that are completely missing. So the first and the most important role that they need to fill is getting more spinners. because CSK traditionally have relied on their spinners, and right now in their squad they only have Shreyas Gopal because and Noor Ahmed, I guess,
Mm.
because Ravinder Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin, both of them were sold or traded. So they'll need to get an Indian spinner because I don't think Shreyas Gopal plays every game. He's more of a backup. Secondly, they need an all-rounder who can, or a more of a bowling all-rounder who can be at like number 8, number 9, or even number 7, because they had Sam Curran and Ravindra Jadeja who did that role for them last time, and both of them have gone to RR now. Uh, they also need an overseas fast bowler. They released Pathirana, and I think those were the only, him and Ellis were the only two that they had. So now they have a bunch of Indian bowlers, but they need someone from overseas. So yeah, these are the three main roles that they need to fill. Apart from this, do you think of any more gaps in their squad?
Uh, to be honest, their batting is kind of power packed at the top. They've got every slot filled. Though they released Devon Conway and Rachin Ravindra, both of them, they still have got Ruturaj Gaikwad coming back, which is good. And of course, Sanju Samson is now a part. And they've got the youngsters in Ayush Mhatre and Urvil Patel and Devon Brevis. So it's quite a powerhouse batting. And of course, MS Dhoni as the cherry on the top. So they have to focus a bit on the bowling because it's really unlike CSK that you enter a season with a very weak bowling attack.
Yeah,
It's a different thing that the bowlers that you've picked haven't been in form, and that's why they're underperforming. But last year, you kind of already knew that this is not the bowling attack. They were basically relying on just Noor Ahmed and hoping that Pathirana comes good because Ashwin and Jadeja, to be very honest, were way past their prime. So I think that is one thing they need to rectify. And it's good that they seem to be caring about that because they haven't invested back in Matisha Pathirana, who has been very mediocre for a while, and he's because of his action, he's not too reliable as well in terms of control. So they have kind of given that job to Nathan Ellis, who also suits the conditions. So that is a good start, and that is where they need to have their focus on.
yeah, and as you mentioned, this CSK team is a bit different from the past because, as you were talking about their batting, almost all of these batters are sole batters. None of them bowls in a
Mm.
normal T20 match. So this is quite different because if you looked at CSK in their prime, they've always had a lot of bowling options, which MS Dhoni could play with. In the past, you had players like Suresh Raina. Then you had Moin Ali, who used to play a dual role. So this time CSK are looking quite different because all the way up to maybe Shivam Dubey, nobody really bowls. He's your first batter who can bowl. So they need to strengthen their bowling attack because these are the only guys who are going to bowl for you. I think one player that they can go for is Ravi Bishnoi because he's an Indian spinner, a leggy who could complement Noor Ahmed, and he's also someone who bowls that faster line and length, and he could suit someone like an MS Dhoni as a keeper. He could really bring the best out of Ravi Bishnoi. And in terms of batting, I was initially going with Venkatesh Iyer, but after the kind of batting they have, it would be very difficult to fit him in his role, which is usually in the top three. So I would rather hope that they go for a finisher, someone like a Liam Livingston, who can come in and hit those big sixes, along with Shivam Dubey and MS Dhoni.
Yeah, I think Livingston makes a lot of sense for them because, as you mentioned, he's okay with coming a bit down the order and still contributing. And of course, he bowls a
Yeah,
spin, which is a very big plus. And one more name that comes to my mind when I think of a player of the mold of CSK, that is Michael Bracewell. He
Yeah,
just seems like he's born to play for that franchise. He's got the Kiwi uh nationality.
connection. Yeah,
Yeah, he's the Kiwi and he finishes the innings and also bowls very well. He can be the perfect kind of a bridge between the bowlers and the batters in
yeah,
the playing 11. So I would like to see them look for him. And also Akil Hussain can be one. He's also been in terrific form across T20 leagues and he bowls in the power play, which is something they don't have at the moment. Because generally they usually have a pacer who also bowls in the power play, but they have a chance to maybe shake things up a bit and have Akil Hussain as your power play bowler along with an Indian pacer in Khalil Ahmed. So I think that can be another option.
I think the only issue for them is that their foreigner slots are pretty much fixed. You're going to play Noor and Brevis, come what may. You are most likely going to play Nathan Ellis or maybe go for a fast bowling overseas pacer. So those three slots are pretty much filled. And then if you want to play someone like a Bracewell or Hussain, then you miss out on a finisher like a Livingston or even,
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe someone else, even Finn Allen, I guess, or David Miller. So that's something that's tricky for them. They'll have to pick and choose between either an overseas spinner along with Noor Ahmed, or just play with Indian spinners and and go for an overseas finisher along with Dhoni and Dubey.
Yeah. And what I've seen is that Shivam Dube has also upped his bowling game. So he can contribute maybe at least 1 or 2 overs with the ball in every game. So they can fiddle around a bit with his bowling and maybe go a bit deep with the batting.
Yeah,
Uh, But of course, Nathan Ellis is someone I'm really excited to watch as a lead pacer. It's
yeah,
been quite a while since he's been doing well across the world, and now finally he might get his due in the IPL as well. And I feel he's completely ready to handle the job of a lead pacer. And I think him and Khalil Ahmed go well together as a starting pack in your playing 11. One is a left arm power play bowler, and the other is a right arm, a kind of a death bowler specialist. So you've got two very important yet different skills filled. So now you
yeah.
just need you can kind of have anyone in the middle. You're not bounded to have a death bowling specialist or a power play specialist because you already have them. So that gives them a bit more flexibility.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I also think CSK might go again with their trusted bowlers of the past, like Mustafizur Rahman or Lungi Ngidi, because both of them are in the auction this time, and both of them did pretty well for CSK. And I think I can see them going at least for one of these two as a backup. But now that we are here at CSK with all of their uncapped players, do you want to mention some Indian uncapped players that they might be looking at?
Yeah, uh, there are quite a lot who are doing well in the domestic circuit. For CSK specifically, I think someone who can fill the boots of Ravindra Jadeja can be Prashant Veer. He's been doing a lot of rounds around the world at this stage, not just India. He's a left-arm spinner like Jadeja who can also tong the ball.
Okay.
So he can be a very good replacement. And I think if I'm to talk about all the uncapped players to watch out for, uh, I'll give my top five bowlers first. I think Akib Nabi, he's, if you have heard at least one of our podcasts before this, which I'm sure you have, you know that I've been talking about him almost in every other episode. So Akib Nabi for me has to be the hottest commodity right now in the auction. And Ashok Sharma, he's kind of reinvented himself because of he has been a part of IPL before with
Yeah.
Rajasthan Royals and Kolkata Knight Riders, but he wasn't that good and he had a lot of issues with his control. But he has completely transformed himself into a proper bowler, hits the hard length, bowls a heavy ball. So I would like to see him being picked by one of the teams as well. And talk about another fast bowler that I like a lot personally. He's Raj Limbani. He's from Baroda and he was a part of the previous under 19 batch, the one that lost the final to Australia. But he can swing the ball very well at the top. I haven't really seen him bowl well in the death, but surely be, he can work on it. He's got a big, huge ceiling and he's very young. So I would like to see him being picked. And of course, from the current under 19 batch, another pacer who's definitely going to be a very talented bowler in the future. He's Dipesh Devendran. And I've just seen him today proving my statement right already. Because in the India versus Pakistan under 19 game, the way he was bouncing out Pakistan batters was unbelievable to watch. He didn't look like an under 19 bowler, to be honest. He bowls in the high 130s at this age, which is very good, and he's got good control. So he's the one to watch out for. So these were some of my uh, fast bowlers to watch out for in the auction.
Yeah, so we'll get back to the rest of them after we discuss about SRH. So, SRH, as we mentioned earlier, they have done a great job because they have all of their main players, that is Travis Head, Abhishek, Heinrich Klase, Ishan Kishan, Pat Cummins, all of these players are with them and they still have 25 crores. They need 10 slots, but I'm sure they won't fill all of those. They'll probably go for 5 or 6 players. Let's look at their squad and the players that they need to fill. They basically need someone to replace Mohammad Shami. He was their sole new ball bowler last time. They obviously tried with a few others, but that didn't really work out. So they would like to have an Indian fast bowler who could replace Mohammad Shami. They also need a few backup domestic batters because they released the bunch that they had. I think they had Abhinav Manohar and a few other players who they released, so they'll need that. And finally, they need a few experienced spinners because right now they only have Zishan Ansari and Harsh Dubey. They had Rahul Chahar and Adam Zampa, but they released both of them. I think Zampa was injured, so he was anyways missing in the last season. But these are the only like 3 main roles that they need to fill. So they are also in a pretty good position and they can splurge on maybe one player, buy him for like 20 crores or so. Apart from this, who do you think SRH need in their team?
Yeah, I think SRH is another team that is very much settled. Last year, Pat Cummins was a bit on and off, I think, and the entire team, to be honest, didn't really click that well.
Until
So
until they went to the Maldives and then they were rejuvenated.
yeah, was that this year or last year?
It was this year.
Oh,
I think after they came back, they won 4 out of the next 5 games. So they just need to
yeah.
go on the
So
vacation early.
the end of this season just proved that
Yeah.
the team is the right one. They don't have to make wholesale changes, and that is exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're not doing. So they're following what they are supposed to be doing. I think Mohammad Shami was a bit overpriced for him at that age, and him and Abhinav Manohar being released has freed
Yeah.
up most of that 25 crores. I feel maybe they can target an overseas spinner who is actually guaranteed to play for them because Adam Zampa, he hardly turns up for an entire season. And before that, there's Adil Rashid. So they haven't really
And
invested in their spinning stocks in quite a
if
while.
I'm not wrong, didn't they also have Vanindu Hasaranga in one season?
Yeah,
So they might want to go back to him maybe.
I think that was in 2024.
Four, I think so, yeah. But he wasn't
Yeah,
able
he
to
didn't
play
come.
because of the other overseas players that they had.
Yeah, so he can make a comeback. And I think other than that, you talked about them needing a pacer. I can totally see one of my uncapped boys to fill up that spot for them. And I would like to see them actually try and get one of them because there is a lot of talent, but it's better to invest in young talent rather than tried and tested, though that is the better option
Yeah,
for a team. I think Akashdeep, if you look at it in a general way, is the closest to Mohammad Shami that they can have if they want that kind of a bowler because they've got Pat Cummins and Harshal Patel right now. So they do need a new ball bowler.
yeah.
So I can totally see them going with Akashdeep or Akib Nabi as one of them.
Yeah, so the good thing about this IPL is that all these teams who have a lot of money, they don't need too many players because, like you mentioned, all these teams they still have a decent core. Like in the past, when we've seen Punjab or RCB, they used to release their entire core and they would rebuild from scratch. That's not what these teams are looking for. So it, it's going to be a pretty close IPL season again, and it will probably just come down to availabilities or the team not clicking like it happened with CSK this time. But now heading into the auction, who are your top three players to watch out for? And this could be both international or domestic players.
That's a very tough one because there are a lot of players on my radar, but of course you have to go with the hype. Cam Green, I feel it's getting a bit overhyped for me
Yeah,
because he's not really done that much in T20 cricket. Apart from that one series against India before the T20 World Cup in 2022, and then a bit of a bit here and there in the IPL. So other than that, he's not really done enough to
yeah,
get the kind of hype that he's getting. But of course, a mini auction and a lot of teams have the money to spare. So Cam Green is one of the players who will get big money invariably. And talking about Indians, that's where I feel more value is hidden in the Indians because you can go with the overseas, but they have their 100 excuses and kind of you need time to understand the player and all of that. But when it's an Indian player, it's quite easy for the management as well, as most of
yeah.
the management is Indian. So that is where the real value lies. So I can see Ravi Bishnoi, Akashdeep, and Venkatesh Iyer, not too much, but definitely teams will be interested in him at a much lower price, something that is closer to his actual value. So yeah, those three are my picks. And watch out for a lot of domestic talent because the Syed Mushtaq Ali trophies happened before the auction this year, as opposed to the absurd fact that it happened after the auction last year. So a lot more players are on the radar now.
Yeah, very well said. Um, I actually have a few left field choices for the players to watch out for. And these are the players that I'm quite interested in. The first one is Prithvi Shaw, because last time was the first time that he went unsold in an IPL auction, and since then he's done a reasonably good job. He switched his team to Maharashtra, and I think he scored a double century recently, and he's amongst the runs. So you could very well see someone like a KKR who would need a gun opening batter, so they could go for Prithvi Shaw, especially because you have Rahane, Raghuvanshi, and Abhishek Nair there. So they might back their Mumbai boy. The second player I'm looking at is also from Mumbai, and that is Sarfaraz Khan. He's reinvented himself in terms of his fitness and also his performances, because I was looking at the Mushtaq Ali scores, and I think he scored a quick fire 60 not out recently. So performances like those are exactly what teams need. So he could very well fit into maybe a Punjab side where they need all these middle order hard hitting players. But my biggest prediction for this season is that Venkatesh Iyer is going to the team that almost got him last time, which is RCB. I see Venkatesh fitting perfectly in that number 3 role where they have that Padikkal playing last time. So it could be between Padikkal and Venkatesh. Plus he gives you that extra bowling, and he would enjoy playing alongside Virat, Patidar, Phil Salt. It would feel like home, and especially on Chinnaswamy, he could be that
Hmm.
crucial player who comes and carries the momentum, like we saw in 2023 and 2024 for KKR. So yeah, these are my three picks.
Yeah, I think Venkatesh in RCB does make a lot of sense in multiple ways because RCB would like to keep Padikkal as a backup and have
Yeah,
and the fact that he's also left-handed, I think it makes
and
sense.
he's from the same state as the captain, so he might get
Yeah,
some extra brownie points.
yeah. So I think we can wind this episode up with another set of Indian uncapped players to watch out for. Uh, I think one man who very few know, but don't be surprised if he goes big in the auction, is Krenz Fulatra. He's from, I think, from the one of the western states. I'm not exactly sure, so I won't make any statement here, but he's very much, I think he's from Karnataka.
Let's confirm it now.
So he's a Chinaman, basically, and he has been doing really well for a while. He's a tall left arm leg spinner. So, first of all, he's a rare commodity in which he's a Chinaman. And even rarer is that he's a tall Chinaman. So, that is why teams have been interested in him. So, I won't be surprised if he goes for some money. And yeah.
Yeah, we have his state, and I'll tell you his full name. That will explain it. His name is Krenz Bhavesh Bhai Fuletra.
So,
So he's from
it's a good
Saurashtra.
job. Oh, same. Yeah. So, one more name that I've been talking about for quite a while is Kartik Sharma. He's from Rajasthan. He's been unbelievably consistent at a number 5 spot, I think, and he's a wicket keeper batter, so it makes even more sense. But generally, with players like these, you see a lot of hype amongst the elite, amongst those who have cricket knowledge, and then you see that in the auction, he either goes unsold or
Yeah,
for base price somewhere. So that is something that I'm aware of, but he's a very good player to invest in. And one more is from Punjab, and in a team full of superstars in the Punjab domestic side, which is Ramandeep Singh and Prabh Singh, Nehal Vadera, amongst
Abhishek
all of
Sharma
them,
as well.
Abhishek Sharma. So one name that really stood out is Salil Arora. He's been terrific in the finisher's role, so I won't be surprised if he ends up attracting a few nasty bids. So he's one of them. And I would just one more name is Tushar Raheja from Tamil Nadu. He's a top order batter, but he's been very consistent as well. And all of them are in alliance with the modern T20 game, which is important. You just don't
Yeah.
want someone who accumulates runs. Like, uh, I don't want to take names, but someone like a Harpreet Bhatia, who even in 2025 bats at a strike rate of 130 and anchors the innings. So you need modern
Gill.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need a lot of modern players. So Tushar Rai is surely one of them. And one more name I would just like to slip in there is Sairaj Patil.
He's
He's
from
from
Mumbai,
Mumbai.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard of him.
he did well in T20 Mumbai, which is certainly not the benchmark, but a very good performance there with, I think teams were good. You had Rahane, Surya Kumar
Yeah.
Yadav, Prithvi Shaw, all of them play. So he did well there as a finisher and he also bowls. So if you remember the hype around Surya and Shedge last year, I think similar kind of a player here, but hopefully he gets a better side for his personal growth because Shedge didn't really get enough opportunities in that superstar team. So I would like him to maybe go to Mumbai Indians and see how Hardik Pandya operates, or maybe in CSK and or some good team because he is a very talented player and he would benefit from getting access to some of these superstars.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're a batter, then it's quite difficult to actually get a lot of game time. But I think for bowlers, it could be really helpful to play alongside world class batters. But yeah, this is pretty much everything that we had to talk about. I just have one final question, and this is more of a prediction again. The all time record for an IPL auction sellout is, if I'm not wrong, Rishabh Pant with 27 crores last time. Do you think we are going to see a new record being set in this IPL auction?
Yeah, so to be honest, the third highest purse itself is 25.5 crores, which is lesser than Rishabh Pant. Uh, so I think that is difficult to see that record being broken, but surely teams will have one or two buys which are close to their entire purse because we have seen that happen before. You get two or three players that you want very cheaply, and you're
Yeah.
left with about 15 crores or 18 crores, and you have three or four slots to fill. So you can just go for that one player that you want and spend all of your money. And also, I've heard about the rule that if two teams are fighting and both of them exhaust their purse, and they couldn't decide who the player has gone to. So they will actually conduct a behind the doors bidding. What is that called? You'll write it on a paper, your final bid, and then the remaining money you can pay later. So that is something they're planning to do. So, but that won't affect the highest bid. So honestly, to answer your question, I feel no. Rishabh Pant will hold on to that record, but you'll see some big bids as usual.
Yeah, and I think there's also another interesting rule, which is even if Cam Green goes for more than 27 crores, he still will get paid the money that's equal to the highest retention of that particular team, which is I think 20 crores or 18 crores was the highest retention value last year.
I
So
think it was Class A, if I'm not
yeah,
wrong.
but I mean that was what they paid him. But the 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 five players or the six players retention values that they
Ah, okay.
released, 18 was the highest. So Cam Green will still be paid 18 crores, and the rest of the money will
Yeah.
go to the BCCI Players Welfare Fund. So that rule is basically in place to prevent international players to register only for the mega auction, for the mini auctions. So this is kind of smart. So Green basically
But I
knows
feel
how much he's going
18
to
crores
make.
is a bit too low. Uh, they could have kept it maybe the highest bid in the previous auction or something like that.
Yeah. But I think so. The max amount of money he can get is 18 crores. So
Mm.
the rest of it will go to BCCI. So I'm sure they'll also be excited when teams are bidding for Cam Green, not Chris Green. Sorry.
I think last year itself, or was it in 2024 or 25, when they introduced if a player plays all 14 games, he gets a certain amount of money
Yeah.
from the BCCI.
I think it was
So,
for every match. So
yeah,
if you play
I
all
think,
the matches, you get I think close to a crore and a half. So players like Rinku Singh benefited a lot from that. But now he's obviously earning in tens of crores.
yeah, so that was pretty much all that there is to talk about this auction. And I won't be able to catch it live unless I get access to internet on the flight. So,
Yeah, this is I think the last podcast where you'll see Ved in this background for a while. I will probably be uh, over here for the next podcast, and after that we'll be in person. So looking forward to that, and I hope you guys also are looking forward to it.
yeah, the holiday season is here. So, take care, have fun, and keep listening to the Unfiltered Feed podcast so that you get to know everything that is going to happen 1 week before it actually happens. So until next time, this is Ved signing off.
Bye.